The members of the Macro Fauna Working Group are fascinated by the richness of nature and the adaptation of organisms to the environment. Everything starts with the sampling of pools, fens or streams.
Ja, we hebben verzamelmotsen genomen, van boven en onder de poel. We gaan nu kijken wat erin zit. Nou, op dit moment zien we heel veel kikkervisjes met al 2 en 4 poten. Nymphen zitten erin.
With the help of a magnifying glass and a stereo microscope, we are always amazed by what we see. We try to identify the organisms, each of us with their own input. The food of this snail consists of algae, dead plants and decaying organic material. In case of drought, the house is closed and the snail can survive for weeks. Tubifax, a Bristol worm, is found in oxygen-poor water. The red color in the worm is hemoglobin, to which oxygen binds. Water fleas like to be close to plants and algae that produce oxygen. Here we see the algae Spirogyra. If the water is low in oxygen, the fleas adjust and store oxygen in hemoglobin and turn red. With one eye they can orient themselves through changes in the light. Freshwater shrimps like running water such as in rivers. They form protein-rich food for fish. The shape of the tail is a determination feature. There are an enormous number of nematode species, of which the mouthparts are adapted to the type of food. Black fly larvae live in flowing water. The mosquito can transmit a parasite that causes river blindness. At the front we see little fans that rake in food. At the rear is a herring with which they can attach themselves to a substrate. Once a year, the Macro Fauna Working Group organizes a so-called Ditches Day for the public at one of the waters in the Leudal. Children are very curious about all those aquatic animals and the parents also love it and enjoy it to the full.
Gewoon even. Oh ja, breng hem uit. Heb je dat? Oh, de geven. Maar die is er wel op in hoor. Ik denk dat we het wat mee moeten nemen.
Kijk hier. Kijk hier. Dat is wel.
Heeft iets achter hier, kijk eens zien wat ik heb. Ik heb een roei zit hierin. Mag ik deze even van je lenen? Roei wol.
Ik heb
oh, goed zo.
morgen gevangen.
Ja, en dat zwart dat zit in die rode wol. Maar er staat, wat is dat?
Ik zie alleen maar zwart.
Dingetjes met dat
kan niet gaan inzoomen.
Kijk even zit je al af. Is dat een olifant? Dat weet ik ook niet. Ja, zo'n brood.
Nee, volgens mij is het een heel
Dat zijn
Dat weet ik ook niet. Dat is een olifant. Kan je ze zien?
zie je een hond bij
The transparent membranes under the abdomen that we see moving ensure the transport of fresh water to the gills. Shooting moths grow from caddisfly larvae, which are smaller than a millimeter in the first scene. You can see where they come from on the building materials from the tube, such as plant material, stones, or just from own spindle. The larva makes wavy movements for the supply of fresh water with oxygen into the tube. The house of this snail is left wound, unlike with all other types of snails. In addition to the two feelers, we see a third protrusion. This is a snorkel to breathe air at the water surface. The water mite is a real robber. For example, it can suck out water fleas. It can swim super fast with its hairy legs. This animal belongs to the crustaceans. They are a great fish food. You can see from the egg bags that we are dealing with a female here. If you look closely, you will occasionally see bell animalcules appear that have attached themselves to her body. A nymph is the pre-stage of the larva of the dragonfly. There is no onset of wings on the nymph, so it cannot be determined. Breathing occurs through the skin and 3 slits on the tail. On the abdomen, this animal has a kind of hairy life jacket filled with air. The hairs are water repellent for buoyancy. It can swim quickly with long legs and can sting nasty with his long snout.
Ja, maar als we hier beginnen en ze volgen het allemaal ja, nee, dan komen we uiteindelijk hieruit. Ja, hij ligt niet in een koker en hij heeft wel poten. Nou ja, die zijn ook nog geleed enzovoorts. Hij heeft er meer dan 4, want hij heeft er 6. Ja. Dus uiteindelijk komen we hieruit.
See here again 2 bristleworms. Here we see the larva of a real dragonfly. The larva has internal gills and grows into a large specimen. We see a bivalve crustacean. It seems as if the water flea that suddenly appears on the screen wants to do weightlifting. This is the larva of a non-biting mosquito, the lake fly. The red color comes from the hemoglobin to which oxygen binds. It can live in oxygen-poor water. If you look closely, you can occasionally see small dark spots on the outer edges of the worm, the so-called rim eyes. These are light-sensitive cell nuggets that serve to distinguish light and dark. They are ferocious animals. This animal is unique. We find it in a humid environment. It is approximately 0.5 millimeter long. On the abdomen we see epimers, or small plates, an identification feature. This is a male. These crustaceans live in water of reasonable quality with a sufficiently high oxygen content. The spines on the top of the back are species specific. We can clearly see that these crustaceans, instead of 2, have 4 antennas, grouped in 2 pairs. The shrimp also has various types of legs, including walking, swimming and gripping legs. The last shrimp has hidden itself between string algae and dirt. The larva of the mayfly lives in stagnant water. It has external gill leaves that are protected by covers. They flutter up and down to supply fresh water with oxygen.
Kijk eens daar. Cool.
Alsjeblieft.
Zelf gevangen.
Dan moet ze niet tegen mij die kop gaan zitten.
Ja, dat zit er ganz anders. Dat is toch een middenhand. Die hebben geen hoort.
Oh ja, dat is waar ook.
Dat is wel bergen hier, man.